We live? We're live. All right, everybody out there in TV land listening, welcome to the Indian Wells Valley Water District Board of Directors Plant and Equipment Committee meeting this Monday, June 2nd. And I'll call the meeting to order at 3 p.m. And are there any comments anywhere? Hearing none, we'll move on to the Northwest Transmission Line Replacement Project crossing at I guess that's the whole line. Yeah.
Yeah, slash, we had the change
Well,
order. for
yeah,
that,
added
Brady,
that.
So the contractor did complete the crossing under 178 at Brady. That's done. We working on getting the road repair. We had to go into the road, unfortunately, a little more than we were expecting to on the south side in the county right away.
Yeah.
So we'll be getting OnStot out there to get that fixed. So meanwhile, staff is going to be going through a final walkthrough and review of all the corrective and outstanding work items in their contract. And I know that once the repair that was done here on Brady Street is done, then staff is going to go ahead with the flushing and disinfection
Right.
of the whole line. So that's where we're at.
So what's the story on their pipe they have piled in the desert? Are we going to withhold anything from them until that's gone?
That's up to you, Mr. Ryan, and the whole board.
Yeah, I think it needs to come up to the board for discussion, George. It's a serious issue, and Chuck keeps hearing more about it, and I every now and then hear people about it, and
Yeah, I mean, you'll have to talk to legal about what we can and can't.
yeah,
do.
Jim was supposed to be looking into that, wasn't he, to see what we can do and not do? Money usually talks. I don't know at this particular point. I just feel like if we pay them in full, then they can literally just wash their hands of the whole thing and not have to do much talking to us. And I don't know if we can depend on the county to get after them. I don't think they like us too much. So anyway, I'm gonna leave that up to you, George, if you think you want to get it to the full board to discuss it. I know I can pretty much tell you where our VP here stands.
Yep,
Yeah,
we'll include that under the discussion at the board meeting.
yeah, and let Jim know too, to have some
cool.
input as well, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, we'll make sure that
You know.
Justin gets in touch, and I'll try to call the contractor directly and go, we're gonna be talking about this,
Justin has spoken to the contractor in the field, kind of
and
off the record kind of stuff, so I'm not going to say too much.
Not gonna say
but,
right now, okay.
I don't expect it to come to the board for acceptance of contract work at earliest next month. Be July, probably at the earliest.
Okay, before it comes
Which
to,
at that time, you might want to be prepared to make a decision on whether or not to.
okay, so you think we can hold off to one more board meeting?
I think so, yeah.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, it's definitely not coming to this board meeting.
okay,
okay, yeah, so
okay, gives us some time. Thank you. So all the projects complete, we just have to flush the lines and ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, so we have staff that's in Bakersfield today dropping off some pumps. They're hopefully picking up pipe from Rain for Rent that we can use to take and flush into the wash right there. And we're gonna do the Brady line first. Once that's done, once construction is done with that, we'll turn it over to water supply and they will flush the line on the Northwest transmission line. Once that's all done, we'll put it through its paces and see what we can do.
Looks like we're covering part of number 4 as well with the,
yeah.
yeah,
that's-
which is okay. They're sort of, because they are tied together.
Literally.
So are you have an estimated start date for the Northwest?
We're gonna flush Brady this week. We're gonna probably, if everything goes to plan, flush the annual current part next week
Okay,
and do our sampling the following week. So 3 weeks.
put us towards the sort of end of June
Yeah.
or late June?
Yeah.
Okay,
At what point will the Brady line be under pressure so we
Full
can
pressure, probably the end of this week.
into this?
so we'll know more.
Yeah, if it,
Okay.
if it pops
Hopefully,
again.
cross your fingers.
Yeah, hopefully it holds. We'll pray. And then no matter what, regardless of Brady holding, we will have the Northwest
Right,
part of it done.
yeah.
And that'll be at least usable through different.
So that'll be operable no matter what happens with
Yeah, we'll have,
Brady.
there'll be smaller lines in the 24, but we'll have some veins that we can run through,
Okay,
some arteries.
okay. So what you're telling me is in case if Brady continues to be a problem itself, we have ways around that.
Yeah, we won't be able to run all the wells, but we'll be able to pick up 1 or 2.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else on Brady except Have you got, Justin got his X-ray vision going yet? I asked him, he had to get that going to look at all that line.
I want to commend the staff and engineering, like they did some things, when the contractor came under, I believe they installed some valves and did some extra things that, just from my engineering perspective, were like really good ideas about being able to, flow water from one direction or the other. I thought they did a great job of thinking some of that stuff through, so. just
I will
wanted to
give
say-
Justin full credit for that.
Yeah, no, yeah, great stuff, yeah.
Mhm.
Deal. All right. All right, anything else on number 3 or 4?
No.
Nothing? Okay, consolidation, one of our favorite discussions.
I'll run the gambit on this one.
Yeah,
Hometown. The state is still continuing to push hometown to go ahead with consolidation. Meanwhile, we're gonna go ahead and, they've approved the plans. We're gonna go ahead and bill the state for the expenses that we've already incurred.
for hometown?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna go ahead and get that together. Rademacher is still in the same position it was last month. The construction crew has not got back over there to finish it yet. And so, as soon as they're done with Brady, they can get back over there. The state did approve the plans for phase 2 with the addition of one more control valve, which was added. So I'll be sending them a final on that. And then this week I'm gonna send, oh no, that's a different one. I did send the follow-up letters to the out-of-town owners for the remaining easements.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of luck there. I heard back from one lady who talked to me for quite a while about her whole history in the valley, which was neat. But, it's in a trust and it's like her and her sister was in Miami and she's, it was just,
You get the whole story.
I don't know whether we're gonna get it, and the other one I haven't heard back from yet. So he originally talked to me back in November and said he wanted to talk to his attorney. I don't know why, but both of those easements are already going to be going in existing ingress egress easements.
Right.
So I think regardless, we're going to be going ahead because we can go in
Okay.
ingress egress. I'll have to check with Jim.
Yeah.
But I think we'll be okay.
All right. So
Oh,
hometown,
one more.
Dune 3.
June 3.
Yep.
Okay, so the state did approve the right entry agreement. I'm going to be sending those out this week. I'll probably get Amber to help me with all the letters and stuff. So all the property owners that are served by Dune 3 will have to sign off on these letters. Meanwhile, Jim has been trying to get a hold of and work with the owner with Dune 3. And he sent him the agreement and he still just hasn't heard back from him on that. So he's tried email, he's tried phone calls. And so he's still working on that.
You're talking about the operator of Dune 3?
Not he's technically the owner. It's an LLC.
Yeah, it's an LLC. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So he's technically the one in charge of keeping the system running.
Yeah. He was the one who approached the state and said, hey, I don't want this.
And now we can't find him?
Hold of him. So hopefully he's okay.
Yes.
And also I was sent a final kind of draft bid packet specification thing from the consultant, so I need to
Oh, yeah.
review that. But we can't go to bid until all these right of entry agreements
Yeah.
are signed off on. And of course, Dune 3 signs on to the consolidation agreement with the district, so
We're going to do Dune 3, is that right? Ourselves?
that's all getting all.
Oh, that's already contracted out? It's hometown that we're going to do?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes, Dune 3 is.
I
much
can't keep
larger.
up with all these.
Dune 3 is much larger.
When you do get started on Redemacher, how long are we looking at?
Oh,
A week,
So we connect that first a week?
week.
Cool. Okay. That's good news.
for the first phase.
Yeah. Yeah, the first phase.
Yeah, they have,
The
they
one
have
where people-
That's the important one to get that lady, that.
Yes, they got a little bit more to do in a final hydrant, and then, of course, there's the flushing and disinfecting, like pressure testing.
Oh, yeah, people forget about that. Anytime you put these systems in like this, there's hydrant requirements, isn't there? All up and
Technical
down.
requirements, and like Renee was saying, we'll have to make sure that we disinfect the line, that we have to flush the line, and then, run and all we're doing is running the laterals up to the meter.
Right.
So
Yeah. All right.
You get a break on your homeowner's insurance if you live in a neighborhood with fire hydrants? I mean, just, I don't know
would
these
think
kind of
you
things.
would. I would think
You
so.
I
think
would
you
think you
I
would. I
didn't.
mean, in the way crazy world of insurance that we have nowadays, that's actually,
if there's part of your policy, 'cause- and there are policies that if you're on your own well and there's not fire connections, they will add a fee to that.
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking, that there might be some sort of
Yeah.
benefit, which is nice.
Looks like you got your plans for all summer here between Redemacher, Hometown, and Dune, depending on when all this, it's waiting on all these signatures and these approvals. I mean, you guys are ready to rock and roll on some of these things. You can't make a move.
I doubt's on Hometown, but the state's really pushing them to do it, so we'll see.
And you think they're backing down? Is that it?
Yes, they are.
Where they originally approached us, is that correct? And now they're changing. Hmm,
Kind of had a change. Several properties there have changed ownership.
okay,
Plus the head of the, I don't know if you call it the HOA or
Whatever, yeah.
has changed.
yeah,
And that person is against this, so
okay.
it has
Well,
spread.
they are, they are, and one day soon, at least we'll have the plans laid out.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
state has said, you need to go forward. You don't have enough storage for max day demand. You have things that need to be done there, and as far as maintenance and upkeep and.
I get the feeling the state's gonna be watching all these mutuals closer. With the mandate to consolidate, which they have, they're gonna be watching them real close. So,
Letting them know, hey, if you want to, there's money for
yeah,
it.
there's money for it. And there may not be money later. So if it comes up to that, we need you, all of a sudden, well, no,
Right.
yeah, that might be a thing. Well, we'll just see where it goes.
Yep.
All right. Anything else on consolidations?
Nope.
Arsenic plants, are we up and running?
Plant 1 is up and running. Plant 2 has passed all tests, bacteriological tests. So it is ready to go. We will not be turning it on at the moment because of how we're operating well 17.
Yeah,
We don't want to overpressurize that area.
yeah.
So we are awaiting results of Brady and the Northwest Transmission Line before we turn that one on.
All right. But you're ready to go.
We're ready to go.
That's it. Anything else?
No, sir.
Let's see. I got one thing to tell you.
Okay.
Sorry, making my notes here. A couple weeks ago, I sent a request. Jason and I prepared a request to our change in our permit so that we could operate well 11 without going
Right.
through arsenic treatment. As the last 8 quarters of results from there have been under 5 parts
Yeah.
per billion, whereas the MCL is 10.
Mhm.
So they should be able to approve that. We had to
Okay.
update the operations plan, which Jason updated, and requested change in our permit, a permit amendment, so.
Okay. And that'll help you can run that well without having to,
Yes,
okay.
they'll save us money for sure, and it'll be available year round.
Yeah, it saves
Yes.
money on chemical and affords us that well in the wintertime should it be needed.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. All right. Thank
Hopefully
you.
we'll hear pretty soon. That's been a few weeks now.
Good. All right. I see we have a new one here, Senate Bill 496.
Yeah, I've been
On
watching.
the back.
Oh, yeah, the page on the back, huh?
Yeah, I've been watching this one. I don't know if you remember the requirement for these clean fleet vehicles,
Oh, good. Just.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
including the large vehicles and stuff. So this bill would have amended things so that emergency vehicles, it would exempt vehicles that would be used to respond to emergency situations and any vehicles that supported those efforts. So we, like our large vehicles, because we are emergency responders, it would have made them exempt.
Right.
But unfortunately, recently, the bill got held in committee. So it's not going to be going through this year. Even though up to that point where it got to appropriations, it had gone through with flying colors. So,
This bill started in the Senate, right?
mhm.
So it's held up in committee in the Senate. So it hasn't even gone to Assembly yet.
So one thing the board could consider is that the water district could write a letter to the good Senator Hurtado and say,
Yeah.
we support what you're doing, anything we can do to help you, because this would be beneficial for us. So that, we can always, but we would want the board to sort of direct us to do
Well,
that.
how would it be beneficial in terms of cost?
Well, it would allow us to say vehicles that otherwise we would have to buy electric vehicles for, we could say they don't need to be electric vehicles because
Yeah.
they're emergency vehicles. So it allows us to keep our vehicles
Oh.
as they are. It's a good bill for us.
So all this bill does is amend another bill?
Yeah, it exempts,
Okay.
so
okay.
it says,
I see what you're saying. So the bill already passed mandating electric vehicles for all public utilities.
Yeah.
correct.
This one is in turn saying, well, now we need to exempt these type of vehicles.
Right.
Any exemption we can get, it would be nice to add to it as well. Other
Yeah,
vehicles.
so
Yeah.
this is at least a step in the right direction, and what the
Yeah.
board, I think it said they had hoped for, that there would be some sort of exemption. This would exempt, we could sort of list out the vehicles that would be used for an emergency, then we wouldn't have to worry about replacing them with electric vehicles. So I think it's the kind of thing that we probably would want to support,
Oh, yeah.
you know, and
There had been a letter that, I don't know if we signed on to it or not, that did go on behalf of the California Special Districts,
Right.
California cities, et cetera, et cetera. There's a copy of that in there for
Yeah.
you. So, yeah, it would have established an appeals advisory committee by which local agencies could request a review of exemption request denial. So if you had been denied, there would be an appeals committee where there wasn't that before. So this would allow, people that have emergency vehicles that need to be available all the time for disasters and emergencies, that they could be exempted from that. So yeah, I hope it does come back up again.
Yeah, we need to work with Senator Grove, whoever we can, the more they chop away at this, the bad bill, the better we're gonna be, because, I mean, how much of our vehicle can you classify as emergency?
Almost
Most
all
of
it.
them.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, probably most of them, yeah.
Mhm.
Considering now that you're not out meter reading,
I
you
think
only have an
it's-
emergency if a meter's not working. Yeah,
I think the state legislation needs to remember that our primary job is to protect the health and safety of the community.
right,
We need to have the tools available to us to do so.
yeah. And I think what they forget in this bill, when you go and you talk to people about these kind of things, they forget, when you have a large, multi-million dollar, utility company, doing this stuff doesn't really kill them too much. But when you have somebody small like us, if we had to turn anything electric here, think of what would happen to our customer rates then. They're already creeping up because of state mandates, so here's another one.
And you think of a lot of utilities, their infrastructure can be out in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah,
and heaven forbid you have an electric vehicle that you can't charge and it's out in the middle of the woods somewhere,
exactly. Well, the same thing goes for us. I mean, we may not be out in nowhere, but, we're on a lot of desert area.
Mhm.
And a lot of these electric vehicles aren't the best in all this hot weather, especially when you're sitting working, so.
They're
it's
not,
the-
they're not, they're
So
not
this
that
is
good in
something
hot
we're gonna be
weather, but not
fighting.
that good in freezing weather either.
No. So this is something we're gonna be fighting and talking about for a number of years, it sounds like.
And as you recall, also this was all started with the Clean Fleet Act,
Right.
which depended on a waiver from EPA. And the EPA took that waiver away from California.
Ah,
That's true.
They sued California sued the EPA, of
Yeah.
course. On Friday, they decided they came to agreement that they would not enforce this electric vehicle mandate on fleet vehicles. But as of right now, it still applies to government agencies within California. So
well, fleet vehicles meaning,
like truckers, any of
oh, I
those.
see what you're saying, truckers,
Yeah.
okay, so
So we'll see.
Walmart
There
and
may be
Amazon.
more on that. We'll see.
public utilities though,
But I looked on their website, on the state's website, and it says it still applies to governmental agencies. So
Yeah, you may not have water, but your Prime packages will still get there.
and those are the people that hurt the most. You know, think about it, because all the public utilities are billing customers, and all of them, they're gonna have to pay for all this. Well, it's gonna be,
Something to keep an eye on.
yeah,
It
keep
comes
an eye
back
on it.
next year.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right.
Put it on our consultant's radar.
Yeah, we could. That's not a bad idea too. Have her keep an eye on it for us. All right. Anything else on number 7, Senate Bill 496? Okay, recycled water discussion. Have we found out a cheap way to do this yet? Because I understand it's gonna cost $10 or $12 million an acre foot if we don't figure something out.
Like that. No,
Yeah.
I have calls into El Paso,
Yeah,
also Padre Dam, just waiting for replies, and I'll reach out to them again just to kind of get what their current cost is to treat. El Paso is doing a direct reuse
mm-hmm,
project. So I want to get what their cost is per acre foot, and Padre Dam is doing an indirect reuse, so trying to get
Yeah.
their costs as well.
keep looking is the way. I mean, if you saw the latest from our ex-mayor, he's all of a sudden against it because it's putting toilet water in our drinking waters, I think is what he said. Did you see how he said that?
About PFAS, this is just,
I don't know, but
it's a regulated contaminant, and we're not gonna be serving people.
I think, I didn't read it all, Sharon, back and forth, but I do know he made a mention here about toilet water into our water, is how he put it. So,
So he's bringing up fears. We
Yeah.
know we're not gonna do toilet to tap.
I
You know,
know,
we're gonna recycle the water. And, this is, There's a lot of misinformation out there, you know, I hate to say that, I mean,
There's a lot.
There's a lot, but, you know, there were things I read recently where people said, the water district hasn't got an estimate for recycled water, but the GA did one, they paid their consultants, and it came out $800 an acre foot, $1,900 an acre foot, and $2,800 an acre
They were
foot.
up to 6,000 at the last one.
Well, and then they did 6,000, so they have this range, and then, you know, they have the cost, if you look in the actual approved GSP, it says, you know, the imported pipeline project's $240 million or $230 million, and then, oh, this recycled water project's gonna be $45 million. It's like, they did the estimates, they're sitting in all their documents, so it's, you know, we can refine them, but as we've said before, we need to find the best use for that water, you know, and we're exploring all options, and there are other ways to use it other than, you know, putting it back in the aquifer, so we're exploring all of those options at this point in time.
Yeah, it just, you know, it tears me up. I'm sure anybody who likes to deal with facts and figures and numbers and truth, anytime you see this stuff, I just get so angry of it. But it's all lies, it's all lies, it's all lies.
It's
And
a proven
how
technology.
much do we say and who do we say it to?
A proven technology that's been used all over California. Orange County's been doing it for decades.
Yes. You know, and I just get tired of seeing it because it's, like George says, it's a scare tactic they're using and I don't like it. And I think as much as we're going to take the high road, but eventually you just got to say something. And I think you're going to see more being said in the coming months. I really do. All right. Anything else? Future agenda items?
I just want to mention that just in this morning's meeting, we may talk about this a little more. We learned that the city is doing a bunch of extra paving. Is that right, Jason?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And so,
They're redoing Felspar, they're connecting Norma to China Lake Boulevard, bringing Felspar all the way through.
Okay.
so we're going to have to look at, you know, because we've redirected some of our efforts to higher priority things such as the Brady line and to Rademacher. So we're going to be challenged. We may have to pay the city to have a contractor do some work that we used to do in-house. We might find that's more efficient. We might find someday that we need additional people. The work will get done, but it is one of those consequences of sort of reshuffling and reprioritizing. So we'll figure it out.
It's a typical thing where we work together. If they're going to be tearing roads up, we take advantage of
Try to
it.
stay ahead of them.
Try to.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so you don't even know, I mean, where they're headed right now, you don't really know yet what needs to be done in those areas?
We know what needs to be done.
You do?
There-
Okay.
There's valve lowering and then raising the valve
Oh,
back up
okay.
again, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I believe all the services on Felspar have been replaced, but the valve cans need to be adjusted.
So
Do we need to add that to this agenda?
I don't think so. It's just sort of trivia that we need to.
Okay, all right. I'll leave it up to you guys.
And I'll ask Jason, so I always think when I hear valve lowering, like you're taking the whole valve and moving it up and
Yeah, I
down.
try to say
It's just
valve can, yeah.
Cans.
Yeah, so it's not the valve itself that moves, it's the thing that goes at the top of the street where you access it, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, just
It's the
plain
thing
English
that
for the.
fills up with nasty critters and stuff if you got to go out.
Stuff
in
like
it.
that, dirt mostly, but
Yeah,
yeah. But yeah, just go down in there, you cut the pipe and then you
right.
get it down to the level that they're gonna grade and then bring it back up again once they got final paving done.
Okay, all right,
And then I do have one item that didn't make it on this agenda.
okay.
It's a cross-connection control policy. We have one from about 20 years ago. Legislation last year requires us to update it and add certain elements to that plan. Right now, it's with Jim for review. It's due by July 1st, so we're putting it on the agenda for the board meeting.
Cross-connection
Control plan.
control, explain to me.
It has to do with your backflows, as well as, you know, if there is any cross-connection between sewer line or water line, when people dig in, they're not supposed to, it could happen.
Chemicals.
Oh, I see, okay.
Chemicals, so it's just a plan that outlines the processes and procedures for preventing that.
So we just have to update everything? It's been 20 years?
It's been 20 years, yeah.
Okay.
It's applicable to our interconnections as well, right?
Applicable to interconnections as well.
You're expecting to bring something,
It'll be at
here-
the board,
This board meeting.
yeah.
okay. Oh, this board meeting, you'll have it
Mhm.
ready to go. Okay,
Yeah, it's due July 1st, so.
okay. Gotcha. All right. Anything else? All right. I believe with that, we'll go ahead and we'll adjourn this meeting at 3:25. Thank you, everybody.